What do you do when you know at some point it's going to be you? Like your mom or your dad is going to hit that critical point. They're going to get sick. And while you have siblings, some kind of way, you're going to be the one. You're going to be the one to probably take mom or dad in. And it's not that you're waiting on the shoe to drop, you're just waiting on the doorbell to ring. You're living your life fast and furious. You know what I mean? You are like dancing in the street, upside the wall. You kicking it. You got that passport thing, but any minute you're like, I know this is gonna end, and I'm gonna have to take care of my mama, and I ain't gonna even be able to be mad with nobody. It's like gonna be my turn. How do you even handle that kind of knowing and that kind of knowledge? Do you want to have that kind of knowledge? Well, today's guest, y'all, it's like she had that kind of magic knowing, like a tell-all ball. Y'all remember the 8 ball? Here we go.
Parenting Up, Caregiving Adventures with comedian Jay Smiles is the intense journey of unexpectedly being fully responsible for my mama. For over a decade, I've been chipping away at the unknown, advocating for her, and pushing Alzheimer's awareness on anyone and anything with a heartbeat. Spoiler alert, I started comedy because this shit is so heavy, so be ready for the jokes. Caregiver newbies, OGs, and village members just willing to prop up a caregiver, you are in the right place.
Hi, this is Zeddy. I hope you enjoy my daughter's podcast. Is that okay?
A little more time together. A conversation with Donna Olivia.
Our Parenting Up community is growing so fast. I can't put out an episode as fast as we're growing. So text podcast to 404-737-1449 for updates, exclusives, and suggestions on topics. While you're at it, share an episode with a caregiver you love. Review on Apple Podcasts and follow us on social media. Subscribe to our YouTube page. Please, it really helps. Today's sponsor is the Outside Been Open Tour. DC, Chicago, New York, Houston, Atlanta. You better get your tickets.
Parenting Up family. You know how sometimes great things just fall in your lap? That's what happened to me. And therefore, you're about to get the benefit of what fell in my lap. Yes. Our guest today is Donna Olivia. She's an author, a retired teacher, a fierce dancer, a proponent of the arts, and a caregiver. I mean, a super caregiver. Her mom is her heart. I'm not saying that her daddy and her husband and her siblings don't matter, but listen, you after the end of this episode, you're gonna understand what I mean. Like, mama, I don't know. Nobody better push hard and ask her to her face who comes first. I think they shouldn't. Welcome, Donna Olivia.
Thank you. Thank you. So glad to be here. Thank you so much.
I wish I went by a double first name. That just sounds so cool. It's regal. Donna Olivia. Did anybody ever call you D.O.?
No, and remember, I created that.
Well, okay, fine.
That's actually my name, but I finally embraced my middle name because that's what mom would call me, especially if I was in trouble. Donna Olivia. So that's how I just said, you know what? Just take it. Just take it.
You know what? Okay. Remember, everybody listening all over the world, I'm a comedian. So here it goes. Taking back your power, right? A few years ago, we heard we're going to take back our time. Representative Maxine Waters said, I want my time back. And so, and there's a whole sector within the African-American, I say Black community in the United States that with the N word, right? With the N word, they say, hey, you know what? If we use it and we take back the power and we use it in a more loving manner, then it takes the sting out. And kind of what you're saying is, hey, you know what? I'm going to embrace it. It used to be a term that my mom called me when I was in trouble. Now I'm going to use it, and that's going to be my name as an author and as an expert and as a grown-ass woman to say I've arrived. I love it. I
Donna
love
Olivia. Yeah.
Donna Olivia. What? I don't know. Is that it? I still have, I mean, you know what? I'm going to work on that. I still have my flashbacks for having my first and middle name, Janae Marielle. Ooh, yeah. Okay, I'm not ready.
Called that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm not ready. I'm going to work on it, though. I'm not ready. I'm going to work on it. So, your book, I enjoyed it so much. It was a sweet read, right? It was a sweet read. As a caregiver, those are rare. So many books that are out there that touch upon the journey of caregiving are at opposite ends, in my opinion. One end is they're beating me over the head with some scientific something that I'm supposed to do or try or watch out for. And the other end, I'm marred down in the sadness of what happened. Grateful for Grace. That's the title. Reflections on Caring for Mom. That's the title. And that's actually what the hell the book is. You know, sometimes book titles, you know what I mean? It's misleading. It's like the man that ask you to go out on a date and then the check come and he looking for you to pay for half. I'm like, brother, listen, we didn't half ask each other out. You 100% asked me out. So you should 100% pay for this check. Anyway, your title is actually what the book has in it. And that's why I call it a sweet read. There are no points where I felt so heavy that I wanted to throw the book at the wall. How did you decide on the title?
Well, within this journey, Jay, I'm not medical. I am Dr. Donna Olivia, but that is not a medical degree. It is a degree in education, in curriculum and instruction. I knew that I'd probably be my mom's caregiver, but some things happened to cause that title.
Hold on, though. I saw, well, 1 second. I got to take a moment, though. I haven't met your mama, but I know so many women in the village like her. You can't slide by that. You have a PhD. Now, come on now.
Yes, I do.
Come on now. You have what they call a terminal degree. That's the only time where terminal is celebrated.
Okay. All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Donna Olivia.
Thank you. Yeah, that mom didn't play about the education piece. So, and once I started caring for her, so again, the doctorate is not medical. I did not know anything. I barely knew the word Alzheimer's. I'm like, okay, what do I do? So I realized early on that I was going to have to be spiritually led. Sure, there's a medical team. In November, it'll be 7 years for mom on hospice, but I needed some 3 o'clock in the morning help. And while I know there's a number to call, sometimes you need it more immediately than what it would take for you to get through all the channels. Well, hold on, well, let me get this. They'll call back and all that. You need those immediate answers. So I summed that up to be God's grace. That's number one. And then number two, my mother's name is Grace.
Come on now. Come on now.
Yes.
Look at you double dipping.
So that's all God. That's God all over it. Yeah, yeah, and that's how the title came.
7, I will circle back in a moment on 7 years in hospice. That alone is a journey. So many people, as soon as they hear the word hospice, they think, okay, 10 minutes until a person is going to be in heaven or purgatory. I'm Catholic. We got 3 options. You got heaven, hell, and purgatory. but they believe it's a very imminent ending to life on earth. 7 years is an example of the fact that hospice can be a phenomenal opportunity for care and for the family to have the time that they need and the resources that they need. But I want to get into that later. How did you all decide your mother had Alzheimer's? How did that come about? What was going on with her that made you even need to get her checked out?
Well, we did not any of us, none of her children actually lived in the same city. With the random visits and an occasional question that didn't seem quite right or a statement, we never compared notes. We didn't see any reason to really compare notes. But when the neighbors started calling and saying, the kitchen, was on fire, because we had lost my stepfather in 2009, and the two of them were like two peas in a pod. So the question was whether mom was going to be able to live alone after some of these behaviors started. So after going through a list of people, including a nephew, a church member, and all that who lived with her, my niece stepped up. One of my sister's daughters, my oldest sister's daughters, she stepped up and said, I'm going to take care of grandma because I promised grandpa I would. Now, for such a young person, of course, that took my heart, but she did exactly that. For as long as she could, she moved lock, stock, and barrel, her whole family into our home. And when it was time for me, I knew my time was coming. When it was time for me to take mom in 2016, it was the same year I retired, my niece had started the process. I'm telling you, I guess we get this education thing, honestly. We're looking, searching, digging. So she's no different. So she was looking for all kinds of things, services, help, anything like that. And the service was able to be transferred up here in Georgia. She asked me to listen to the representative from hospice. I said, oh, no, darling, no, 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 no. We're not doing that. We're not doing. Auntie, would you just please listen? After you listen, then decide. I'm like, yeah, all right, I will. I listened, and the lady convinced me enough to at least try it. Because after I knew I wasn't locked in, I decided I would try it, and I can't say that I regretted that decision to this day. 7 years, that was November 2016, and November, in 2 months, it'll be 7 years.
So your mother has been in hospice care the entire time you've been her full-time caregiver.
That is correct.
Wow.
Now, to another point that you asked, though, after looking at the behaviors and starting to become more educated about Alzheimer's, she had already started having it long before then, I would say. Yeah. We just didn't know, she might have been a 10%, 90, then an 80 by the time we came back again, that kind of thing. Yeah.
In the layout of the book, one thing I noticed and I greatly appreciated was at the end of each chapter, you have it's not a summary. it's more of I don't know how. I'm gonna tell you how I took it, and then look, and then you go ahead and share with everybody what you meant. But
Okay.
you are giving us nuggets to think about.
Mhm.
You give like their anecdotes, and you use the word care, and CARE, and they have I don't want to give too much of the book away, but anyway, I want to read one of them.
Okay.
And with care, graceful care is at the end of each chapter. And so you say, carefully consider, that's the C, avoid perhaps, R, reflect on your feelings, E, enrich your experience. And then based upon whatever you were describing or talking about in that chapter, you encourage the reader, or you give us a prompt, I should say. How did you come up with that? Because it's one thing to say, hey, I'm just going to talk about my caregiving journey. And then at the end of talking about my caregiving journey, taking mom to the grocery store, or how we decided that mom needs hospice. Okay, that's the end of the chapter. But no, you give us these prompts and scriptures to ponder, which, shout out to you, just because you don't never really know. You don't even write out the scripture. You just say it's a scripture to ponder, and you just give us the chapter and verse. And hey, if you want to go get it, go get it. If that ain't your thing, then turn the page.
You nailed it.
You know what I mean?
Nailed it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So may I make a comment on that? Let me start with the scripture. It's very convenient to write it and print it. King James Version and the millions of other versions there are. They're just far too many. So go get your Bible, the one you read from, and you look at it and take that. So I didn't want to get into that. But I did want that piece there. And it's only to consider there's several others. Those are some that jumped out at me, that resonated for me. Then the care tips, graceful care, that's gently nudging you or encouraging you to do such and such, because I don't know your journey, and I have to know that our journeys are different. So some things will work for you and some things will not. So here are some things to consider, and carefully consider them with care. Yeah. So I gently say, think about this. You may want to journal. When I heard someone tell me the other day that they were journaling now, I mean, my heart just lit up. I mean, that's how the book started, because and it wasn't to write a book. It was so that I could remember what to tell my brothers and sisters, but that mom did that day or what have you. But the suggestions are things that worked for me, and they might work for you. Yeah. So you nailed it.
Well, thank you. It's the spirit that you are repeatedly suggesting. That's why I call it a sweet read, and that's how I can tell you are really a caregiver in these damn trenches, Donna Olivia. There's so many people that come with their finger pointing and wagging in the air. At least that's how I receive some of their language. I'm just going to say it as somebody who's also been in the trenches, where I'm like, hey, it doesn't sound like you have swabbed nary a mouth or wiped nary a butt, or had to redirect nary adult loved one with the way you talking to me. And you know what I mean? So that I can't even hear you, but it's your language. And when you say to ponder, I was like, oh my God. Hell, I'll ponder anything. You know what I mean? If you want to run for Senate, we can talk about that after this episode. I'm like, that's maybe Congress should ask us to ponder stuff, and then I might listen to them a little more on C-SPAN if they weren't barking at me. Tell us about incorporating the arts. You're a dancer, And then a few, I remember I saw there was one example when early in your time as an educator, there was a time where I guess I think you were more in being an apprentice. I don't know. I wasn't an educator. I was an engineer before this. So, don't shoot me. In engineering, we call it an apprentice. So, but not like 45. Okay, okay, not like 45 on that show. So anyway, the instructor stepped out, and you were talking with the kids, and you were teaching them the times table, I guess 5, 10, 15, 20, and then you jumped into dance as a way to really get them involved. And by the time the teacher came, the head instructor came back, they were ready for Soul Train or American Idol and had it all down. And you said since then, that cemented your belief how arts can be incorporated in not only in education, but in keeping things fun and informative.
That's exactly right. You are describing an experience I had during my internship with a group of first graders. And she was trying to teach them their fives or something like that, whatever it was, fives or twos. And I did it with movement, but I had to tread lightly because I didn't know. I don't want to get in any trouble breaking any rules, but when she was out of that room, that's how we did them. And when, of course, she returned, the kids couldn't wait to show it to her. Look what we learned. Look what we learned. And she was like, wow, okay, because it was just skip counting. And but that along with it spoke so much about my mother's upbringing for us. Piano lessons at the rec center, dance. My older sister, actually, now my two older sisters are actually the real dancers. I just ended up making more of a living from it as a retired dance educator, but they are the dancers, both of them. But I use it now. So let me tell you how I use it with mom. And it occurred to me that that's what I was doing. For the most part, mom was very dramatic. And not every morning I felt like getting up and going to do what I had to do. But for her, I had to play a role. Good morning, Miss Gracie. How are you? Whether I felt like it or not. So that's the drama. And that's real to me. That's real to me. The dancing, come on, mom, get those hands going. You know how you used to move, so we just go on, get some music on. She sang in the choir, so we had that piece going. I'm going to go to the visual arts. I'll get to the singing last. The visual arts, now where in the world could that possibly matter? I got so wrapped up in caring for her wounds. Now, not every wound, but for the most part, I couldn't rip the tape. I had to cut it. I needed for the tape to align, and I needed for my bandages to look just so. So it was like an piece of artwork. And I did some other creative things that were really helpful for her. But so that's the artistic side, the visual art side. Now, truthfully, the singing, mother told me, she said, child, you cannot sing. Okay. So I had to embrace that. But for her sake, I would sing. Amazing Grace. Yes, I would. And just for that moment, she would take it because I was what she had. So, but she had already told me a long time ago I could not sing, but I even would sing to her if I thought it would comfort her and make her feel better. Yeah. So that's my artistic side. Yeah. You're just so tickled.
I am laughing because I'm not alone. That I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at myself and with us because hunty, okay, as so many of the people in the comedy community say on stage, the number of things that I obsess over in the care of Zeddy, like you described about the cutting of the tape, how you have to cut it and you can't tear it. It has to be cut just so. It's a presentation.
Okay.
Okay, first of all, I know your mama went to Ebony Fashion Fair. The twins were fine. Okay. I don't remember their name, Rob, whatever. Do you remember Ebony Fashion Fair?
I remember.
Yeah, and it was the two male twin. Listen, the two twins. Okay, they everybody, all the girls went to see them. I don't even remember them now. I mean, I don't remember their names anymore. But you know the way that looks, and if you could see the way right now, as soon as my mother became incontinent, and I was trying to figure out a way, how could I have her? How do we have her sleeping knowing she's incontinent and have it look appropriate for my royal queen? Okay, she's the queen of Zamunda to me, or bigger than the queen of England and all of the Americas of the whole world. And I did eventually get the Purig, which is the the female catheter. But guess what? Guess what, Dr. Donna Olivia? My mama took that thing out of where it was appropriately placed and put it under the crease of her boob.
Oh, alrighty then.
Okay. Okay. So I wake up and go check on it. I'm checking on the Purewick. Okay. And so now she has a little bit of urine under her boob, and all of her butt in the bed is wet.
Because it wasn't where it was supposed to be.
It was not where it's supposed. I said, you know what? What she said was, what you're not gonna have is something phallic between my legs all night, okay? Because I'm a good Catholic girl, and I'm not doing that. So anyway, so if you could see the precision with which I trim and cut the adult underwear to place it on her, so it looks almost not like it's an adult diaper. You know what I mean? I'm tucking and curling it almost so it ends up looking like a bikini, honey. You know, and nobody's gonna see it.
But we see it.
But me.
So we know it. Yeah.
She don't even see it. But I'm like, if she could do it, I think she would be nipping and tucking it like I'm doing it. So I was laughing because I'm with you, girl. I am with you on, the oddities of what can get us through and make us feel better as we are parenting up. I love that. I love that. You said a little bit about, tell us about brushing your mom's hair, or that experience. Hair for all women all over the world. I have one thing on my bucket list that I've already checked off, or my life list, I should say, was to travel to all 7 continents. And while technically Antarctica does not have, it's not a country, there's no developed culture there. Every continent, every nation, every community I've been to, all the hair of the woman matters so much for different reasons. There's a different historical reference point, but it always matters. The hair of the men, it doesn't matter at all whether the men have hair or not, but our hair has some amount of glory to it. And so when you spoke in the book about brushing her hair and what it means and how you tie that to how being a caregiver, you can still use that as a way to connect and give them, okay, you talk about it.
Yeah, give special attention. Now, first of all, my mom's hair was so fine and soft. Her hairdresser called her cotton. That's how soft her hair was. When it might take someone an hour and a half or two to get their hair done, I mean, her hairdresser could do her in about 30, 35 minutes because it was like it dried easily, washed easily. She set it and sent her on her way. And she'd have, of course, these beautiful silver curls. But what I knew she liked, because I even have a picture of my son when he was about, I don't know, third or fourth grade, brushing his grandmama's hair, because she would get you to do that in a minute if she could. So brushing her hair was soothing. And if that's what if between that and rubbing her back, I knew that it would work. And she would wear hats if that hair wasn't right, but she loved her hats anyway. She does love her hats. But it was just the most beautiful silver, gold, gorgeous curls just that you ever want to see. Soft and wavy. So it was nothing to just stroke through it. You know, the brush was getting right to the scalp, and it was just very soothing for her. And it was a more, maybe even intimate moment in that sense, because we were connected. Either she was remembering, she might not have said that, but either she was remembering us doing it or the feeling or both. Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Memories. It's a struggle for us, especially when it's the same gender situation. I think it's a little something to it if it's the same gender. I've had guests on where it's a son and a father. I'm a daughter with a mom, as are you. And memories where your mom is struggling, you see her struggling. She may not remember your name. She asks you, who are you? You try to tell her, potentially there's some tension there. But you have great reflections on your own growth. That is magnificent how within the book, you don't only allude to where you are now. You say, hey, you know, day one, I did A. Today, I'm doing P. You know, I've made some steps.
Yeah.
And give us a little bit about how you've handled the memory. I was really touched on the examples of how you said you kind of can know when you hit something based on some of the moans or the sounds she may make. She may not be audible, but you can tell from her body language or her eyes. And sometimes you may not get it right, but at a minimum, you may know what not to do next time.
Exactly. Well, again, drama expressive. So I go straight for the face. Now, if I touch somewhere on the leg and it's hurting or whatever, she might, because she can still do that. She can't speak. She might pull that leg back. But I get most of my communication, it's visual, and it's in her face. She's got this little crease up here, and I'm like, okay, something's wrong. But if that's all smoothed out, I know I'm good to go. Sometimes she used to, flutter those eyes. And it makes you at least stop and pay attention, because you got to either, I have to reflect on that. What did it mean back then? And I might be able to bring that forward to this situation, or I have to create a whole new meaning. I may even have to create a whole new meaning, but she cannot say, I'm hurting. I'm tired. Like right now, I'm hearing, that says either that's enough, you fed me enough, don't put any more, or what have you. And those are signs and signals that this is no class, no learning along the way. Nobody said, now when she makes this sound, be prepared, because that means this. I just had to figure it out. And the way we were raised, you found yourself figuring out a few things. Now you knew what she meant when the brush came flying across the room with that left hand. You knew what that meant. You were in trouble. But there are things that she wanted at life lessons that she wanted us to make sure she wanted to make sure we got it. She wanted to make sure we got it. But yeah, she would do little things like that. Even I may see her hands tremble a little bit now, or what have you. And I'm trying to, what does that mean? Okay, something, oh, there's something under here. The other night, um, there was some kind of discomfort with her. And by the time I got to her bedside, guess what? Her cannula had come out from her oxygen. I'm like, oh my goodness. And for some reason, I couldn't sleep. And when I got to her bedside, that's what it was. That's what it was. So if we're not getting it straight from her, God is sending it, but He sends the signals. I have to reflect back on things from the past so I can bring them forward and use whatever I have, whatever tools I have in the journey, because I'm not trained. And I don't mean the CNA training that I could have gotten. Of course, I didn't know about it at the time. Um, but I mean the side that won't be in the book, that won't be in the lesson that's taught,
Right.
directly relating to her.
You just gave, just like you did in the book. The book is a sweet read, and you just gave me a sweet word. I had to take quick notes just so I was listening, and I was like, I got to take notes on my response right now. What over here, Dr. Donna Olivia? So it apparently the hairbrush has always been important to your mother, okay? Because I caught what you put down, that it came. Your mother is a southpaw. You said she used her left hand.
That is correct.
She might have been able to get one in on Muhammad Ali
Okay.
and Mike Tyson, because neither of them did that great with southpaw. So you, that's amazing that was her tool. And I remember, in your book you comment on it. It wasn't belts, it wasn't switches, but that brush. Better look out for that brush, baby. If you see the brush, you need to mind your manners, because the brush might see you.
Exactly right.
And what you stated harkens back to keen observation, which those of us who are in the trenches, that is what gets us through. Keen observation of our LO through time. What does the fluttering of the eyes mean? What might the trembling of the hands mean? What might this moan, a high-pitched moan versus a guttural moan? They are communicating. Your LO is telling you something. A shoulder shrug, or all of a sudden, if they're shaking their head no real fast, they saying something. They are attempting to communicate something. No, it is not standard mainstream language. However, for those of us who care for them, if we have utilized keen observation along the way, like you mentioned, we can bring the past forward. And we may not get it right every time. And that's okay. But the point is, from your sweet read, is to recognize that that's the best tool we have, is keen observation and our gut intuition.
Yes.
You couldn't sleep well that night. Something woke you up. Said, hey, let me go see. First and foremost, what I want to champion and say to the caregiving to the parenting up caregiving community, I say all the time, everything, every move that I've made in my mother's care, those big ones, not chicken or fish today. Okay, I'm talking about those main care moments where it ended up being where her life was hanging in the balance, like what you're saying, the oxygen was off, or not properly engaged. Something was just in my belly. The Holy Spirit. Something was in my belly that said, "Hey, forget the doctors, forget your other family members, and Janae, forget what you don't know." It doesn't matter that you're not an expert in this field. What you know is you got to do something. And so go ahead. And the answers will come. So you got up out the bed and you went to go look. Don't ignore it. So, LOs, caregivers, don't ignore it. It doesn't matter that you might not know what's going to happen or what you're going to see. Just get up and go and see and get there, and you'll get the answers. You'll have the strength and the wind beneath your wings when it comes around. So thank you so much for alerting all of that to us. You, I laughed when you said with you realized sometime after your mom, you were like, your mom was sharp as a tack. Dad was doing his thing, and you were like, listen, dad was a dietitian, and mom was a school teacher. How were they doing this thing? And you're like, I figured out my mom was shopping on sales. She never told you that. There she is again, teaching you something about the value even of money. You don't have to go give people all your full money. How has that continued to inform you even in being her caregiver? Has that impacted you?
Well, so glad you asked. Yes. Um, Even now, just even shopping for myself, of course, that has just carried over. But I look at her needs. I can, I'm sure, run and pick up all kinds of miscellaneous things. But fortunately, the supplies are handled by hospice. So because they handle that part, I'm able to buy equipment or items that they don't supply. I have something to help me turn her in the bed. They don't supply that. And when I find that those items make life easier for me, I'm wanting to share that idea. You know what? When you get to one of your other patients, tell them about this. I don't want to say that it's going to definitely work. But so then I don't mind for whatever that cost is, or maybe I can put the investment there because I'm not having to get the things for her, her medication or her wipes and gloves and all of that because they're handling that. So that's how I balance. That's kind of like my sale. Like, oh, I didn't have to buy that this week. So let me see what else, what other trinket, whatever, what other just gimmick or gift or item I can find that's gonna help me with her. And those items I have been so tickled about because again, who knew? And I ran across it like, oh, let me try that. Oh, well, that works real well. Now, that didn't work, so I'm able to do that. So, but with mom's shopping, this is how she knew when to go, what to look for, and how to everything. It's like things were earmarked. Things were earmarked. Okay, I can do this month, and I can do this, because I'll catch it on sale. You know, now, with the exception of the dresses, my sisters can attest to this. The only thing I think she might have paid for were these dresses from the fairy tale shop. So she had 3 girls, and they kind of maybe were like a one of a kind, one in each size, and that kind. But after she made our clothing, if she cut up one of her dresses to make a skirt for me or whatever it took, she was thrifty. She was smart thrifty. And it made it look like I mean, like, did you ever wear the same thing to work, Mom? How do you do this? Because she caught on. So I'm able to do that. She's got different gowns. I have to cut them, but things to cover her. Um, in bed, I still want to dress her. And so I'm going out looking at this would be cute on Mom to get a little hat or whatever, because I can do that because I don't have this other budget that I have to um, decide and figure out and put money aside for this, that, and the other. Yeah. Yeah. So got a little bit of that.
I But I'm telling you, bringing forward the personality, the lifestyle, the choices that your LO made when they could. That style, that presence, that uh the essence of them
Mhm.
makes a difference. I believe.
Yes.
Parented up community, you all know I said, hey, I'm going to always tell my truth as best I can and let you know what has worked for me. And I'm 11 years in. Dr. Donna Olivia is telling you about her mom. And this is 7 years with hospice. And so there's two examples of honoring the LO's style, tenor, and choices of life, that at least it did not work. Okay. I'm not gonna say that it had to work, but look, Zeddy just got her hair dyed. The one thing she told me my whole life is don't let my gray hair show. I don't care. I don't care what they say. You find somebody to dye my hair. I don't, all of that gray hair looks beautiful and it's silver and it's regal. She said, I don't want to be regal. I don't want to be regal. I want to have black hair. And her mother had a gorgeous silver mane. It was salt and pepper, and then it was black and streaked, and then it went to just all silver, and it was the talk of the town. And my mama said, hey, JG, I don't want that.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Do you hear me? I don't care. I will know. I will know. Don't you let my hair. so, so, so I just got her hair dyed and I got her nails black, painted black. And the caregiver was sitting there just rubbing her hand to make her keep her feet in the water because she kept wanting to take her feet out of the pedicure thing. Because she's like, ooh, because who I don't know what is this the sensation or just having it. She didn't want to do it, so this caregiver sat there for an hour just rubbing her hand very slowly to just distract her enough for mama to keep because she said, I want red on my toes and my hands. I don't want no new color because I don't know what the colors are gonna be, and just stick me with red. And I
Oh, that's too funny.
even when she sees other colors on my nails and say, ooh, that's pretty. And then people have suggested, well, maybe you should get a different color. I was like, hell no, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. It's not worth it. I'm getting red.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Oh my goodness. That's so funny.
Have you had, through this 7 years, was your mom ever able to have any outings? Her level of hospice. I know hospice you can have kind of different levels of physicality.
Mhm, mhm. Oh, barely once she actually came. Now, we had some visits prior to her living with me. She would go to the school with me. She would talk to anybody who would listen because she's a retired teacher as well. Speak Spanish. They would love having conversations with most people who speak with mom, just love engaging in conversation with her. So we really did those outings primarily before she actually came to live with me. We had maybe about a year of a few things, we'd get her in a wheelchair and, she adjusted to that. That was not what she wanted, but she realized, um, she went from no cane to rollator to wheelchair to being totally immobile. But we were able to do the Harriet Tubman Museum because she was a history teacher. She loved that at one point. Um, so things like that. She loved going. She loved traveling. She was a social butterfly anyway. So these kinds of things I knew she liked. So come on, Mom, we just pack up and go until we literally could not. As long as she was able to be herself, her normal self at any given time, that's when some of the challenges would happen. Because when she became um, tube fed, for example, I would imagine that wasn't so comfortable. So she pulled it out. She went, poop. I heard the sound because I was sitting on the couch in the same room. And I looked up, it sounded like a drip. And I'm looking up, I'm like, okay, now, what does that sound? So I run to her bedside. I'm like, Mom, are you all right? And she, yeah. And she said, here you go. I said, oh, oh. Looking for the number to call the hospice people. Mom pulled her too, but So, and my point there is, by then, of course, she wasn't going, and by the time they were working with all of that, she literally became immobile. But prior to that, we did have some outings. But while she was still herself, she was making some decisions, and that too was not one she wanted. And she kindly handed it to me, and I said, somebody help me.
How polite was that, though?
Here you go.
Okay, Dr. Donna Olivia, that was very polite and that was very ladylike and dainty. She said, you said, are you fine? She said, yeah. And here you go.
Oh, here you go. You can have this back.
You can have this back. I don't need this. As a matter of fact, I have figured out this is feeding me. I'm full. I'm full, and this is uncomfortable. Here you go.
Go.
That's the same as saying, take my plate.
Take my plate. I'm done. I didn't even think about that. Yes, it is. I'm done. She handed it to me. I said, oh my God, somebody.
Get this chicken bone out my face.
Ooh, no, that's one of those moments. I'll tell you, you can only imagine. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
She said, if you don't calm down, you're going to be on the stretcher, not your mom. I said, okay, I'm going to calm down. But call 911, tell them to come on. They know what to do, but you got to calm down. I was beside myself. I was lost.
When she took the tube out?
Yes, I was done. I was so done. I was like, what? I'm like, what am I supposed to do?
Right. Is there air getting in there? Are there germs getting in? Like, we don't know what that means.
She was there with a hole in her stomach.
It's a hole. There's a hole.
In her stomach. How is that like okay? Even for
it can't be okay. I mean, for us, it can't be okay. Right now, I don't know what's going to happen. A fly, worms, germs. I right now am going to have to go call 911 for me because I'm about to freak out. and it's over. It's over. You're okay. Your mom's okay, but this is new to me. So yeah.
I was so done.
Yeah. But they say that so often, the caregiver having the bursts of adrenaline and the ups and downs that go, we're waiting for that other shoe to drop, or both shoes do drop, yet no one is there to comfort us because we are freaking out about something that our LO experienced.
Mm-hmm.
And when we call 911 or the hospice facility, the hospital, nurses, doctors, other family members, Burst of All, which is one of my favorite reels from the Instagram, the little baby used a B instead of a F, and she was just so adorable. So I still use it, Burst of All. So Burst of All, hopefully all the people that we call on, at least half of them show up to help us. But when they do that, rightfully so, all of the attention goes to our LO to solve the crisis. But no one really addresses our emotional depletion. And so then you are having this roller coaster ride. And at a point, our neurological systems, these pumps of cortisol or adrenaline or whatever are coming back and forth. And that is happening over years in the case for like you or for me. And you run the risk of, heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure, all of these things. And so they tell you, if you don't calm down, you're going to be a stretcher before your mom. I got the same prognosis, diagnosis,
Okay.
all of these things. I mean, it's a hot mess. Oh man, there's so much more I wanted to talk about. I'm probably gonna have to have you on again because I don't want to elongate this too much. We were supposed to be done already.
I
This
lost
is so.
track.
Do you have a few more minutes?
I do.
Okay, great. Okay. All right, y'all. Look, this is about to be. I'm gonna speed through the rest of this conversation. It's just been so juicy and so sweet. I love how you spoke of a little more time. I don't want to give it away. I want you to share how you couched that in the book. What you decided to frame a little more time with your mom.
So, as I watched certain characteristics fade, each time she would come up with something or stay, because she was still verbal at that time, each time she would come up with something or share something or say something to me that I could really, really connect with, that told me that I had more time with her. She's still there. She's still there. And that's how I looked at it. She was, I didn't know how this would progress, how soon, how long, how short. So every time, anytime I got that moment from her, whether she called my name or whether she said something, I remember the situation where she had asked for a hat. She dozed off, so I moved the hat from her head and laid it next to her bedside. And when she woke up, she said, "Where's my hat?" I'm like, "What? You remembered that coming out of your sleep?" She's, yes. Look, 1 for grace, 0 for Alzheimer's.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. A little more time. That means okay. Okay. So I was looking forward to another something happening. It might have been a little bit longer period of time in between, but I was looking forward to that. And that let me know I still had time. A little more time, a little more time.
I read a few of those pages and the anecdotes more than once. My mom is verbal, but she does not say my name anymore. She doesn't say anybody's name. She does not affirmatively do proper nouns. She doesn't say book or house. She won't say a person's name or a city or a state or nothing. Right? She can't call anything by its proper title. She knows I'm me, and I can tell through this keen observation. I get a different there's a different twinkle in her eye. And on those moments, if I say, "Hey, mama, it's me," sometimes she still will say, "I know it." And girl, girl, when she says, and she does the mama look a little bit like she wanted to say, "Have a," I know,
No,
you
you
ain't just trying to tell me. And see, I'm an only child. So I used
oh,
to get the stories of people ask me why I only had one child, and I asked them, "Have they met you?" As if I could have another one. And she would go through the labor and how it almost took her out of here and all the things, because they should have done a C-section, but it was midway through it when they realized they should have done one. So she had to go ahead and tough through that. And so she'll say with a scowl, like she want to do the suck teeth. Girl, I know. But she'll just say, "I know it. But honey, I feel like I am president of the universe in those moments." So that a little more time was so poignant in the way you framed it, because you weren't only talking about time on earth, you were talking about a very connected soul moment of clarity.
yes.
And honey, you took my air when I read. Because at first I read it and I was, I was being a little more juvenile and elementary with the understanding of a little more time. Like, oh yeah, because her mom's still alive, and I was like, oh, she went deep on me. She didn't mean she's still alive. I said she better go ahead and be a PhD. See, that's what that extra schooling did. That's that extra schooling.
Oh,
And you have such wonderful encouragement, hope, and advice for those who may think they could never be a caregiver. They could never do. They may hear this episode. They may read your book. It may come across you. They may hear Parenting Up and J Smiles. And they're like, man, good for them. I sure hope my mama stays okay. Or maybe she ought to just drop dead in the car, because what I can't do. But you have a different take.
Hmm.
Never say never.
Never say never. Yes, I have other brothers and sisters. I even have a different take on them. And how they caregive, they help in the process from afar. And I think that's important to mention, because otherwise I could have wondered who's coming to relieve me. And if I spent my energy there, I wouldn't get, the brothers who handle the business. I don't have to do that. I just tend to mom. My sisters who call, and they don't know, their calls just seem to come at the right time when I need to hear from them. And when they say, "How are you doing?" Oh, not the universe, but at least of the United States, I'm president right there. Yeah, yeah. You know, then so the boys are fatherly in that they're going to make sure I need and want not one thing. So I have to be careful about what I ask for. And then the girls are attentive to the spiritual, the touchy-feely side of me, and the concern, well, how are you doing? Are you feeling good today? Have you been getting your rest? That kind of thing. So I think I have a wonderful package, and not one of them have come to do a 2-week rotation or anything, but they are there in other ways that are so important to the journey. And I've had to embrace that. I've accepted it, and it has made me definitely a happier caregiver because I'm not upset about the fact that it's me. I probably knew it would be me, more than likely, yeah. So I'm not upset, but the fact that they chime in those ways, I don't think I'd trade it for anything. Yeah.
Strength comes when the unexpected happens. I didn't know I could do it either. The number of times, I can't count the number of times my best friend or a stranger has asked me, Jay, how did you do it? Or, oh my goodness, it's been more than a decade. How are you continuing to do it? And I say, hell, I don't know. I mean, I know it's through the Holy Spirit's grace. Okay, blah. But, they are really kind of expecting some tutorial on, well, I had this plan.
Step one.
Step one, as if it was, similar to going to school, whether it's elementary school or high school, college, or whatever, or taking a cooking class or following a cooking recipe. You go to the grocery store, you get your onions, you get your oil, you get your eggs, whatever. It's like, no, I don't know. I didn't know. You're madly in love with a person who, well, for me, I was madly in love with a person who could not do anything for themselves. Those were the two facts. And then it was, all right, ready, set, go.
Oh, that's exactly right. And to take it even a step further, and you also realize that they did it for you. Because there was a time we could not do this for ourselves. So the person who did, now I'm going to reverse the roles. That's it. Yeah.
Girl, Hunty, let me tell you something. Way past whatever, 10, 12, I don't know how long, can't do nothing for yourself. My mama was still doing things for me in that my mother was my, people say my mama was my best friend. She was not my best friend. Okay. I didn't talk to her. My mama was my mama and my best friend was my best friend. Now, my mother was my biggest cheerleader. And my mother was my first sounding board of any major decision. She had a magical mind that of balance.
Yes.
My mom could pro and con something real fast about a man. Now, I wasn't about to get into whether or not we were having sex. To my mother, I'm still a virgin. Okay. She went into Alzheimer's, not knowing whether or not I'd had sex. and we're going to keep it that way. I'm going to stay died. And I'm going to stay the virgin JG. Everything is fine. But it didn't matter if I was trying to decide, hey, mama, should I take 12 credit hours in this semester or should I take 17? And she would say, okay, what else are you going to be doing? And she never just hit it from you need to hurry up and graduate. It was, what are your other? So she was my best life coach, I guess. That would be today's terminology.
Yes.
And, they're just, you can't replace that coming also from the person who you know loves you most. Like the movie John Q. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. But that was I'm getting it right. That's when Denzel Washington had the son who needed the transplant.
Yes.
And he took the hospital hostage
Right.
because he was wanted them to kill him. He was going to take his own life so they would give his son his kidney or something, liver. And I was not living. I was an adult and somewhere. I don't know if I was in grad school or at work. I mean, in corporate America, but my mother left a message for me in tears saying, I know you're busy. Because I went, Dr. Dio, when I focus in, I don't do anything for fun. So whenever that movie came out, my mom knew I wasn't doing anything social or for fun. So I probably was in grad school. Or whatever it was. She called me and she said, I know you haven't seen the movie. You need to go see it. Because that's me right now. She said, I walked out of there. She said, my parents went to the movie together. And my daddy, she said, I cried a little bit, but I more walked out of there shaking my head like, that's damn right. That's what you do. And even as an adult, that's the type of continuous affirmation she would give for no reason. She just left this message on my voicemail or answering tape, whatever I had at the time, to say, go see the movie. I don't want to say anything, but mama is Denzel. And that's what I would do right now. Love you. Bye. And so when you ask me, where do I get the strength? Like, I don't, what? I don't.
That's not one to ask and not one to be answered in that way.
I mean, this is the thing. I don't put in effort to find the strength. It's just there.
It just comes.
It just comes. I do get tired. I get physically tired. But I was born to be her daughter. And whatever journey she's on, apparently so am I.
You're right there with her. Amen.
Yes. I have enjoyed this conversation so much, Dr. Donna Olivia.
I have as well.
Where can we connect with you, the Parenting Up community? Where can they connect with you? Where can they find the book and anything else that you have coming up?
The book can be purchased on Amazon and at Xulon Press, that's Xulon, and other major booksellers, Barnes and Nobles. The audience can reach me through Caregiver's Corner on Facebook. And I'd like to leave my email address, if possible. It's Donna, D-O-N-N-A, May, M-A-Y, M-A-Y-E @gmail.com. So Donna May.
Fantastic. And Caregiver's Corner, is there?
Caregivers on Facebook.
Is there an S on corner or no?
Yes. Caregiver's Corner. Yes, corner, no S. Yes.
Well, there you have it, Parenting Up community. No matter where you are in the world, you can get this sweet read. You can contact her on Facebook and you can email her.
Yes.
Ask her questions about hospice, sales, how you figure out how to get sales from all your supplies with hospice and equipment. So that alone is worth an email and a message on Facebook. I tell you that, I'm about to message you right now, even though I know how to get you otherwise. I still think I'm gonna tell my team, send her a DM. Make sure we getting all the wipes we supposed to get.
Okay, I'm telling you, you better ask them. And yes, they've been wonderful.
I appreciate this so much. I appreciate you taking your time, you sharing your story. We are connected, caregivers across the world, family caregivers across the world. We are connected. Alzheimer's is heavy, but we ain't got to be.
But we ain't got.
And what we have is each other.
Yes.
And while and until there is a solution or a cure for this dreadful disease, we will keep each other above water.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Of course. Until next time.
Bye-bye.
Snuggle ups. Number 1, she told us and let us really understand that hospice isn't a bad thing. So many times we believe as soon as you bring in hospice, your LO is going to die that night. Her mom has been in hospice for years, and it has actually made her life better as a caregiver. So it might not be for everybody, but it is a resource. Your medical insurance has allowed you to be able to use hospice. It is going to allow your LO to have a higher quality of life and take some stress off of you. You can get extra supplies. You can get an extra pair of hands, and you can have somebody that's way more qualified than you are. So look, don't let that hospice stuff go. Look into it. You know what I'm saying? Number 2, incorporate the arts. All right. So now Donna Olivia, Dr. Donna Olivia, she's really a professional dancer. All of us can't do all that stuff. But incorporating the arts in some way, whether it is just singing and dancing with your LO. Maybe your LO is in a wheelchair or in the bed, but you can sing and grab their hands, and do it like a fake 2-step. And it will make a difference. It'll make them smile. Now you're at least moving their arms and their elbows and getting some blood circulating. If they can walk and stand up, do a funky 2-step. If you start bending down, they gonna start bending down. You don't have to know what the latest dance is. You don't have to be an instructor. Who the hell cares? The point is, whether you are coloring or painting or using some kind of clay or modules or something, do something fun that involves music or art. Why not? It damn sure can't hurt, and it doesn't cost a lot of money. Number 3, never say never. You don't know what you are capable of. Oh, I'll never be able to take care of my LO. I'm not good at wiping people's butt. Okay, listen. I spent all of my adult life trying not to get pregnant because I didn't want to have a baby. And now I got a big old mama baby. You have no idea what the Holy Spirit, if you're not really a believer, you have no idea what you can just rise to in your own body and mind and what you will be able to accomplish. Maybe you'll be able to help a caregiver that you're close to get through some hard part of their life. Maybe you'll be able to become a phenomenal caregiver. It's amazing what the human spirit and ingenuity can create when your back is against the wall. So don't stress out too much. If you're new to this, or if you're just thinking I might maybe have to be a caregiver or support a caregiver, you can probably do it. You can probably do it. Just chill. Just chill. Today's sponsor is the Outside Been Open Tour. Get your tickets at jsmilescomedy.com. DC, New York City, Chicago, Houston, Atlanta. Get your tickets. Come on.
We made it. Thank you for listening. Please share with someone you love. Subscribe for continuous caregiving tips, tricks, trends, and truth. And pretty please, with brain health sweetener on top. Review on Apple Podcasts, subscribe to our YouTube page, and follow us on social media too. I'm a comedian. Alzheimer's is heavy, but we ain't gotta be.